Next one. Daan, Peyper and Duane, guys. Hands up for questions. First 7 minutes for vloggers, and then after that, Jaco.
Thanks. Jaco, we can start with you. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk, and we've obviously seen that nothing is going to change before the World Cup. How happy are you with where the Springboks are in terms of their appliance to the changes over the past year or so, and where they are leading into next World Cup in terms of the laws?
I don't think nothing's going to change. I don't think anything fundamental is going to change. So there will be slight changes. We've got to keep making the game better. So there is places where we can get better, but I think the big consensus was we have to keep the identity of rugby. So we're not going to change around those. And obviously, if there's safety issues that come up in the next season, there'll still be guidelines to avoid that, or law changes to make the game safer for the players. Springbok wise, I think we can get better. We've adjusted okay so far. I don't think we're satisfied. I think we believe we can do better. We obviously have a bit of work to do with because we're an aggressive team. We have to make sure that the players go in safely and that they feel safe, not just the opposition, that they as tacklers feel safe. So we have a bit of work to do this year to make sure that our taller players, do the level change, get the wraps right, because those things happen so quickly. So it's conditioning. You can't change that on the field. You have to change that through your URC season. So part of this alignment camp will be giving feedback to individual players on how they track and those sort of things. But we need to improve this.
Is there a set number of penalties per game that you want to be below? I know there's a lot of talk about that. What would be the level?
No, as long as the penalty count fits the game. So we try and put that in context. If you defend for 30 minutes in your 22, we can't expect the team to just give 6 penalties away. That's probably impossible. But we don't want to give avoidable penalties away. And we don't want to. We call it box smart. We want to be a smart team, not too clever, but we want to be a team that don't concede penalties that is clearly avoidable or that is silly or indiscipline. Teams have to force us into penalties.
Perhaps maybe just to go back to November tour last year, obviously the problems with the red cards and the permanent red cards. Have you guys got clarity after this about that, whether it's going to just be, is it going to go up to a 20-minute red card like we hope it would, or have you got any more clarity on that?
Yeah, so the status quo is that full red cards will be for non-rugby actions or clearly reckless actions. So if it's a technique or technicality of a player that got stepped and there's just a belated wrap, those things won't go to full red card. So we always say non-rugby action is a kick, a bite, a gouge, a spit. That's those sort of things. We don't want that in rugby, so we all accept that's full red cards.
And just to follow up, that has there been any more clarity on the TMO's role? Because as well, we see same TMOs making different decisions as we did in the Six Nations and your guys' test.
Yeah. Okay. So TMOs. What has been identified, we believe, is that the protocol is not that broken. We have to invest in the individuals in the protocol. So if that answers your question, there's a bit of work to be done there, not just for World Rugby, also for SA Rugby, also for URC, also for Heineken Cup, to make sure that we perhaps keep people like Wayne Barnes or Nigel Owens in the game. Why are they leaving? And the best decision makers, why aren't they transcending into the TMO box to make? Because the biggest decisions are made. The TMO's involved. It's always high impact. It's try scoring cards, those sort of things. So I think there's a bit of World Rugby's looking into it. How do they invest in the system? But the system's not broken. It's more the people in the system.
Lloyd?
Daan, do you worry sometimes about the scrum being under threat? I mean, when you read about nations suggesting that its impact in the game being lessened, but then you have a week like this and the meetings seem to go well, and it's restored, and it's not going to change. But is it something you think about in terms of the future of the scrum and what it might look like in a few years?
Yeah, well, obviously I'll always be worried, because otherwise what am I doing here? So if I can be straightforward, yes, it's a concern, but luckily it won't be changed till 2027, so hopefully, and we will keep it, because otherwise it's becoming league. Without a scrum, it's not rugby, it's league. Without a maul, it's become league. So yeah, we will always be hoping that there's always scrum stays in it. it's not a worry. I can't think about all the time tomorrow and worry too much about tomorrow and then we live it today. So yeah.
Do you think the changes will be more in how it's officiated than how it's actually
I think Peyper might answer that one much better than me.
So give me feedback. I'd say 2016 about 2017, the scrum would have been the most difficult part of the rugby to referee. Too many moving parts, different opinions, etc. And then someone like Mike Cron came in, a New Zealander, and often initially it was seen as political, but he was so fair. He would just come in and brought the 50 laws, broke them down into 3 steps. And if you coach to it, and you play to it, and you referee to it, the scrum has become so much easier for all. For him to coach in the week, he coaches to those 3 points to make sure that he gets that efficient. The referee prepares so that the players knows what's coming, and then the discussion on Monday post game is also that much easier because everybody knows, what to hang their hats on. So if that happens on a Monday, every Monday, and for 10 weeks or 12 weeks, the scrum has improved. So I think scrums, that's probably a lot of referees retired after the previous World Cup, so a lot of experience. So you don't just buy experience. These referees in the system are doing those 10, 12 weeks now, Monday's feedback at this level. So I believe that it'll become a better product, and these coaches are adjusting. New scrum coaches in the meantime. But the mall is now the one that needs a micron.
Lita?
Daan, as you spoke earlier about someone like Zach Morton being converted into a swinging prop. Trevor probably on his way out has been in that role. Do you feel there's a bit of a in Afrikaans, emptiness in terms of having a swinging prop there? We know that Hendrik can swing prop and hooker, but do you feel there's a emptiness in terms of having a swinger prop at the moment?
I wouldn't say there's an emptiness, and I'm talking about Trevor. He's gained. He's not older today, he's actually younger because the last 2 years he hasn't been playing much. So we're not counting him out, just saying that with God. But anyway, I think a guy like Zach Thornton might play, and he did play for us against, I think, Wales and Italy. He played loose head and tight head. And obviously how we built it, how we packaged the thing around him to make it happen for us. And obviously we were in need because remember that very last game was played against Wales, and I think it was outside of the window. But the need for a swinger, I think it's becoming less and less because remember we need to have 2 full front rows in the starting 23. So I think it might help us if we really in deep, how do you say that?
Trouble.
Deep problems. But to be fairly honest, I think he might end up maybe being able, because he's done very well so far, which I'm very grateful for. He must just get on the field.
Great.
Duane, as the most recently retired player in this coaching group, you came from talking about the changing of height, the aggression, and marrying that aggression with accuracy. How hard is that? I mean, especially for a player, we know our Springboks like to play, really dominate contact. And you guys have done it pretty well, to be fair, over the last few years. But give us a player's perspective on the change of height, changing all these angles, holding back ever so slightly when you don't want to. How do you manage it?
Yeah, I think I have to say it is a little bit difficult, but if you look at the game now, everything is being played at this height. Your tackle entries, ball carrying, mauls, scrummaging, breakdown, everything. So if you teach the guys, and that's when, especially this London camp, where this does help us. If we get in and we tell the guys this, and you've been slacking off at your club and at your franchise, you've got to work on your height. That then goes into the game, and hopefully you can hurt a guy within the law, but at that specific height. So it is difficult, especially for the taller guys. Those were the guys that got a lot of penalties and cards. But it's a new year and a new season, and there's guys that are really doing it well, and you can use that as examples. and yeah, hopefully we can. And for us, the other thing is also it's that coaching during training. So if we give guys live feedback, you learn on the trot, and it's so much easier, because sometimes you do slack off because you can't do it 100% in training. You know, you can only do it in during the games, and sometimes, you know, you miss those crucial little things that that you can't do it 100% in training, but and can't pull it through to the game.
All right, guys, vloggers off, please, and then.